Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad to have you with me again for another intriguing story. Today, we're diving into a topic that often sparks debate when talking about Thailand. Is it truly the land of smiles, or does another, less flattering nickname hold some truth? We've received a fascinating submission from Sebastian, who shares his experiences and insights from multiple visits to the kingdom. He explores the idea that some long-time visitors have come to call Thailand the land of scams, and he asks a crucial question. Is this reputation justified? So, join us as we delve into Sebastian's story, exploring the complexities of this issue and trying to understand whether Thailand truly deserves its sometimes controversial reputation. Let's get started. Many folks believe that LOS stands for Land of Smiles, but somehow I've learned over my 6 visits to the kingdom that old-timers assign to it a different meaning, Land of Scams. But is this notorious title justified? Is Thailand worse than other nations? Should we so easily drop the smile, that endearing mark of the Thai people? In an attempt to be fair with the natives of a country I enjoy visiting regularly, I did indeed ask myself over and over again whether Thais are worse in that regard than the citizens of any other country I had visited, and frankly, I'm not really sure. I must smile even now when I recall a story told to me by a friend who many years ago went to study in Austria. I took a boat to Trieste, Italy, with the intention to continue from there by train to Vienna. At the port, I flagged a cab. I gave him the address of my hotel, and the driver began a rapid drive through the busy city streets, flying, turning, shouting, just as any good Italian driver would. The trip took half an hour, and the cost was enough to shock me, but what could I do? I paid and signed in at the hotel. I then walked, tired, to my room, opened the window for some fresh air, and found myself gazing at a boat, anchored 200 yards away. Indeed, the vessel which half an hour earlier had brought me to this country. Another tale was recounted by a different guy. Before leaving Rome, I wanted to buy myself a shortwave radio. I heard those were quite cheap in a certain market. There were many vendors scattered in the marketplace, and I chose one with the best price. I handed him the radio, and he took it for packing. I returned home 2 days later and was so eager to play my new radio. I opened the box and discovered it contained a plain piece of wood. In Israel, the president of a construction company disappeared several weeks ago with millions from his company's funds, leaving 4,000 buyers, who had already paid a major sum for the condo, stranded with a mere piece of paper to show for the money lost. The crook has just been apprehended in Italy, but the fact remains unaltered. A scam committed under the watchful eyes of managers and auditors. Is Thailand really worse? When I reflect back on my numerous encounters with Thais, be it hotel personnel, store vendors, bartenders, taxi drivers, waitresses, and others, I can point to several instances where the treatment was dishonest indeed, yet still feel unable to brand an entire population of 65 million on their account. The worst fraud, I prefer this term since a scam is a much more sophisticated affair, occurred several years ago at a Bangkok optometrist. I ordered a pair of glasses, and when I picked it up, I noticed that my vision was blurred in one eye. I pointed it out to the lady, and she took the glasses for a re-examination, following which she even called her superior, and exchanged several sentences in Thai. Then she turned to me. You have to get used to them. So, since I still had the original pair from back home, I decided that I was not going to make any attempts in getting used to the new pair. leaving this pleasure for the return home. Indeed, 2 weeks later, while already back home, I tried them on again, but the problem reoccurred. I took the pair to a local optometrist, who examined them carefully, and then approached me with a surprised look. "Who sold you these glasses?" To make a long story short, one lens was completely out of focus, or as the optometrist put it, they prescribed a number completely wrong. Replacing one lens would cost $17. As I paid for the pair with my American Express card, I wrote to them and asked to reduce my charge by $17 due to the reasons outlined above. American Express replied that the entire charge would be put in a suspense account until the matter is investigated. Now, lo and behold, a month later I received notification from American Express that the company selling these glasses had credited me with the entire cost of the pair, $100. Another time I bought a bottle of vitamin E, 400 IU. The vendor placed the bottle in a bag, but as I was just about to leave, I decided to have a look inside. Sure enough, the bottle was not the one I ordered. Instead, they placed a bottle of 1000 IU, a strength hardly sold, and enough to ruin your liver. You have to admit, folks, that these two stories do not fare that badly with the previous tales depicted above. So where are the scams to evidently starring in the tales of the old-timer local phalanx? After all, as they say, where there's smoke, there is fire. I suppose the answer lies in the distinction between the ordinary tourist rip-offs and the more sophisticated activities that warrant the word scam. Let's face it, trying to persuade you to be taken by a tuk-tuk driver or a tour organizer to a factory selling jewels cannot and should not, under any standard, be classified as a scam. After all, has anyone forced you into the factory? And assuming you've entered, has anybody forced you at gunpoint to buy anything? Definitely not. I know I was there several times without buying a pair of earrings, yet invited to cold refreshing orange juice by charmingly dressed and smiling hostesses. If a vendor sells you a leather handbag for 1000 baht and you subsequently see that same product selling for 600 baht, is this a scam? Of course not. Next time, learn to be a tougher negotiator. If you learn upon returning home that your friend paid for that same hotel 200 baht less per night by using a different agency, is this a scam? Not at all. It's quite common in many countries, not only Thailand, that different agencies sell hotel rooms at different profit margins and hence the difference in price. So, have I given up? Have I decided to drop the word scam from LOS? Not so fast, friends. Things are not as simple as they may look from here. Where then is the catch? What is the source of that notorious title? Thailand is in many ways different than most Western societies. I'm not referring here to their different religion or various norms and mores. Not two countries are alike, and still it does not trigger name calling, right? Still, in one aspect, Thailand is different indeed, and here is where we find the prospects of misleading and conniving. I'm strictly referring here to a certain product so widely available and indeed sold in the kingdom. The huge supply of ladies flowing south, mostly from Isan, and offering the starved Farang tourist something unavailable back home, a companion younger by 2 generations. Where on earth can a 50-year-old man associate with an attractive 20-year-old girl? This distortion ultimately leads to disequilibrium of all sorts. The stages are remarkably identical: bar, beer, rumpy-pumpy, emotional involvement, a window to numerous scams aimed at one and only one thing: empty the poor guy's pocket for the benefit of the lady's entire extended family. Then come all the related tales. He loves her and will one day marry her. But for now, to ensure their future together, he will buy a house. Well, the Thai law prohibits Farang ownership of a house, so let's register it in her name. It really does not matter, it's only a technicality, since he has no reason to suspect that this marriage will not last 50 years, at least. He still has to complete a few projects at work, so, for now, he will provide her with a monthly transfer of, say, $500 until he's free to settle in the kingdom permanently. She will, of course, stay with Mama and Papa in the village and abstain from any extracurricular activities, no doubt. Oh, quite forgot. She has a 12-year-old boy and he needs to attend a costly private school. The future stepfather is now expected to dish out an additional $400 per month. And what about my brother, Honey? He lost his job last week. How about if you buy him a 7-Eleven store? It's only 1 million baht, really peanuts for you. The related scam stories abound. A Brit returning to the village to find a strange family living in his house with no sign of his future bride to be found. An American who had also bought his wife a house, returning from a trip to the US with his new bride, and soon after passport control is asked by his lady to wait while she goes to an important place. The poor guy is still waiting, so I hear. His house, as you've guessed by now, had already been sold by the lady who disappeared with no traces. Or that poor Brit who decided one day to visit his branch and was met by a stunned manager. Your widow was here last week and emptied the account. The Western's emotional vulnerability seems to be the key to all those scam stories. Many of these tales clearly disappoint me, as I find that it's not the girl who is so smart as the Farang is so stupid. Would any of these guys buy houses in the name of a girl they had met a month earlier? Is there any logic behind any fellow's conviction that a 25-year-old girl would remain faithful while he's away thousands of miles away? Is it probable that a young girl 30 years his junior will so happily fall in love with him? Unless he had promised to open his wallet wide open for an unlimited period of time. It simply does not make any sense, and the sooner the guy's lads learn to accept that reality and play the game according to a set of rules set by them, and not the locals, the sooner they will grasp that Thailand is, after all, a pleasant and enjoyable destination, quite cheaper than most places, where one can have all the fun in the world without being taken for a ride. Indeed, the kingdom can easily become the land of smiles. So, there you have it. Sebastian's perspective on the land of smiles versus the land of scams. It's certainly a complex issue with no easy answers. As we've heard, experiences can vary greatly, and it's important to remember that dishonest individuals exist everywhere, not just in Thailand. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this topic? Have you had any similar experiences, either positive or negative, while traveling? Do you think the land of scams label is fair, or is it an unfair generalization? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested in hearing your perspectives. If you enjoyed this video and found it thought-provoking, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps. And be this Don't forget to share it with your friends and fellow travelers who might find this discussion interesting. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos exploring similar topics. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.